So, a new Battlefield game is now in the wild, and you're thinking about dipping your toes into Electronic Arts' historied FPS franchise. Whether you're brand new to the series or have your fingers crossed that this new title reminds you of your time spent playing Battlefields 3 and 4, this essential beginner guide will help you ease in from boot up to shoot out. At the time this video is going up, we'll also have another guide video all about classes in Battlefield 6 if you want to get into the nitty-gritty and find out which ones are right for you. Additionally, how classes work have also changed somewhat from the beta, but for now, here's a brief overview of how classes work in the full release of the game. There are 4 classes in Battlefield 6: Assault, Engineer, Support, and Recon. Every class in Battlefield 6 has several elements that make it different from another. While you can wield any weapon you want as any class, each class comes with a signature weapon category, meaning that if you pick a weapon from the same type that matches your chosen class's signature weapon category, you'll get additional perks when wielding that weapon. Each class has a signature trait and active ability, essentially giving each class 2 buffs, one passive and one that must be activated. They also get signature gadgets, which cannot be wielded by a different class, as well as 2 additional gadget slots that can be equipped with items from each pool, each class having their own unique selection. Finally, each class has 2 training paths, each path offering 3 different bonuses than the other. The bonuses unlock over the course of a match as you play and gain XP, with your class active ability being the final unlock. The second training path for each class is locked behind challenges that you need to complete when playing the respective classes. Make sure to check out our class video for details on each class, as well as which one is right for you. If you're picking up Battlefield 6, chances are you're doing so for the multiplayer. Before we get stuck into the various modes, let's talk about weapon playlists. In the past, Battlefield's signature 4 roles featured a class-locked weapon system, meaning each role was only allowed to use one specific weapon type. In Battlefield 6, the developer is giving the option to let you choose between playlists that feature closed or open weapon systems. The open system means you can pair any weapon class with any role you choose to play, while the closed system offers additional perks to players who use the signature weapons designated to each specific class. With that in mind, here's a complete breakdown of all the game's different modes. Conquest is the bread and butter game mode of the Battlefield franchise. It sees 2 teams, each of which can be made up of as many as 32 players, spawn on opposite ends of a large-scale map. Starting at each team's base are a variety of vehicles, including tanks, helicopters, off-road SUVs, and more. The vehicles available are dependent on the map you're playing. In addition to the vehicles, flags are spread out across the map, and the flags need to be captured by standing in their zones, which are indicated by lines on the ground. As the match proceeds, you'll see the score bar at the top of your screen fluctuate. Each team starts with 1,000 points, and those points get depleted the fewer flags and control you have. Eventually, a team will reach 0 points, and the first team to do that has lost the match. Something to keep in mind is that respawns also count toward your team's tally. For every player that respawns, that team's score will go down by 1, so if you are downed, try and hold out for a medic if you can. If the minimap is showing that you're completely isolated, or where you were downed is swarming with enemies, go ahead and respawn. Breakthrough is another classic Battlefield game mode, and assigns teams one of 2 roles, attackers or defenders. The attacker's job is to push their forces forward on the map, capturing objectives along the way, and continually pushing the enemy team back. Next up, we have domination. If you're coming from Call of Duty, then this is the exact same game mode you know and love. 2 teams, which are made up of 8 players each, start at 0 points in domination and must try to earn 200 to be declared the winner. The maps take place in the same locations as Conquest, but the playable areas are cut off due to only 3 flags being available to capture. Spawning is immediate in domination, and you don't get to choose where you spawn like in Conquest. The mode also doesn't feature any vehicles. King of the Hill is a classic first-person shooter game mode that is essentially Hardpoint from Call of Duty and acts similarly to the mode of the same name in Halo. A capture point appears in a set location on the map. The mode features smaller maps with no vehicles with 2 teams of 8. After 1 minute, the capture point moves to a new location. Rush sees the return of the attacker and defender roles from the breakthrough game mode. However, in Rush, the attacker's job is to destroy objectives scattered around a large map, while the defenders try to stop them from doing so. Each team gets to experience both the attacker and defender roles, and the team that emerges victorious more throughout the alternating rounds is declared the winner. Escalation is a new spin-off of the game's popular conquest mode. Escalation offers a total of 7 points to capture. In order to score a point, a team must hold a majority of those capture points until a meter fills up. A team scores a point once their meter is 100% filled, and the first team to 3 points wins. However, a capture point is removed from the map after each point is scored, causing the map to shrink in size. Squad deathmatch is played with 4 squads of 4 competing to be the first team to reach the match's kill target of 50 kills. The mode is infantry only, so there are no vehicles to contend with here. There's also no respawn delay, meaning you'll jump right back into the fight after a death. Team deathmatch is almost identical to squad deathmatch, but instead, 2 teams of 8 face off to achieve the target kill count of 100. So you've picked your class and you've picked your chosen mode. What next? Well, we highly recommend getting some friends together. Battlefield 6 is not only a lot more tactical than most other first-person shooters, and the better you communicate with your teammates, the more smoothly things are bound to go, but also the game provides an XP boost for squad mates that are in a party together. Speaking of XP, make sure to activate your time-based XP boosts. You start off with a couple and you'll accumulate more as you complete challenges, so always check if you have any to activate before a game. Once you've spawned into a match, keep in mind what mode you're playing. Engineers, which focus on repairing friendly vehicles and taking down enemy vehicles, are not going to be very useful in matches with no vehicles. Similarly, Recon sings on big maps, but not so much in more close quarter combat scenarios. You can always change classes between respawns, so if you feel like a class isn't working for you in the moment, you're not locked in for the rest of the match. With weapons, however, it is best to stick to one for a time than switching around constantly. You only unlock more attachments for guns that you use, so try and find a weapon that feels good to you and then focus on using that until you get a healthy amount of customization options to tweak it even further. The number one thing to keep in mind when playing Battlefield 6 is to not rush headfirst into the action. It's very easy to get taken out when you're not taking your time. Move methodically, use your environment for cover strategically, and bring as full awareness to the battlefield as possible. When playing any of the control point modes, the game will often recommend which control point to focus on attacking or defending. It's generally a good idea to head towards whatever objective is marked at the time, but also make sure you're staying close to your squad of 4. Getting caught by yourself is an easy way to die in Battlefield. When moving around on foot in Battlefield 6, if you're not cautiously and tactically approaching a control point, whip out your knife by either holding down the right stick on controller or F on your keyboard. You'll run faster with it equipped. Also, if you fall from a precarious height, tap either circle or B on controller or C on keyboard just before you land. That way, you land either in a scramble or in a full combat roll depending on the height, and reduce damage taken. If you do take enough damage to be downed, anyone on your team can revive you. They can do this by going up to your body, hitting revive, and dragging you aside for a moment while the revive does its thing. However, it's the support class with the defibrillators that can revive you in an instant. And if you do have defibs equipped, you can also run faster with them, like with a knife when you have them in your hand. So if you're heading to a fallen teammate, definitely prime those on your way to them for the fastest way to revive in the game. When respawning, it can be very tempting to just pick up any available point and jump back in without putting much thought into it, but definitely assess the tactical map before doing so. Do you have any squad mates you can spawn on? Are they in combat, and if so, should you wait till you have a brief window where they're not to spawn on them? Which points do you control? What vehicles are on a cooldown? Maybe it's better to wait for that helicopter. These are the kinds of questions you should be asking yourself every time you are faced with this screen. In Battlefield's most popular game modes, vehicles can change the tide of a game. If you are in a tank, always be sure you are facing what you are fighting. Armored vehicles have more armor in the front and take more damage from the back and sides. Make sure you have a gunner with you if you can. 2 pairs of eyes are better than 1. If you're driving a vehicle without weapons, make sure to fill up every seat you can with infantry. They can get people to points really quick and really turn a fight around. As you can imagine, getting a hang of controlling Battlefield 6's flying vehicles requires some of the most skill that the game can ask of you. If you find yourself behind the controls of a jet or a helicopter, keep in mind it can be very easy for someone on the ground to deal damage to you, especially if you've been painted and enemies can lock on with any of their explosive options. Much like on the ground, use cover when in a helicopter to make targeting you more difficult. Also, like with tanks, make sure to at least have a gunner with you when entering combat. Only jump in a jet if you plan to focus on taking out other aerial targets. They're not great against ground infantry. The most important thing to keep in mind when flying a jet is using your afterburners effectively to adjust your momentum appropriately for each situation, and never fly directly upward. If you do, you're going to find yourself stalling fast, and it might be best to bail out. Also, take advantage of the different camera views. Third person when generally flying, and first person when you're trying to shoot something. Flying vehicles will just take time to learn, so keep practicing and you'll get a better grip of the controls over time. With those tips, you should be ready to jump into Battlefield 6, but we have even more tips and tricks for Battlefield 6, including our class explainer video and written guides on site. So for everything Battlefield, make sure to stick with GameSpot.